it's time to play some Captain of Industry Supporter Edition, update number 3 on New Haven. We're going to go with Admiral difficulty. And we're going to try not to crash this time. The economy. So that's what we're going to call our playthrough. This is 0.79 build, and I have no idea what all these new perks and updates are, but it's a fun game where you get to move mountains, so we're going to move some stuff. Alright, the first thing we need to do here, as the Captain of Industry, is start harvesting trees. You can see this is a big giant island that will be pulling resources out of. Looks like we got some copper over here, some more iron ore up here, sand, more copper, iron, and limestone, coal. All different resources. So this game is basically create an industrial system that exploits the resources, harvests the resources. First thing we want to do, is start harvesting trees. Convert that into logs, get those logs, making coal in this coal maker. We're going to need to assign some trucks to support the tree harvester and deliver the logs wherever we're going to need to use them. In the beginning, I want to have the coal maker over here, sort of near where the actual coal production facility is going to be later on, or at least the mine, I guess. This is close enough to start with. Also going to set up a research lab right away over in this general area. A diesel generator to power the research lab. I'm going to set up the exhausts for the coal maker. And I'm going to start allocating the research. So the first thing we need to do is construction, and then maintenance, vehicles and mining. Get the beacon to bring on additional workers. Trading dock, basic concrete, basic diesel, copper refinement, synthetic rubber, and then construction 2 and conveyor belts. That's the, once we get that research going, that's going to be our big logistic pivot from using trucks basically to move the bulk of materials to using the conveyor belts, which should save us on a lot of different things. Alright, so we've got these trucks moving parts, and then we got a truck that'll bring fuel, start powering up this generator. We've already got coal being produced here at the coal maker. We're also going to need to build a farm. Get that placed to provide food for the workers. We also need to get a garbage collection, waste collection bay at the housing area. We got something for storing our food, the food market here for our potatoes. And we need a waste collection depot. Alright, we also need to specify where we're going to dump our garbage. And in the beginning here, I want to get us access to this second layer of trees up here. Right now we don't have any access, so we're just going to set this dumping designation here to give us a pathway to get up there. This should be pretty good here. There we go. All right. We also need to build a blast furnace and produce some iron. So I'm going to get that going. Later on, we're going to be mining this iron ore from here and placing the plant that is going to actually do the ore sorting sort of in a central location. So I'm going to set this blast furnace up right here. What the blast furnace does is it converts iron scrap and combines that with coal into molten iron and exhaust. That molten iron comes down a channel, which then forms into this metal caster. In fact, we're going to set up 2 metal casters. Like our construction research is almost done. Alright, it is done. Now we've got an assembler that we can take parts and build other parts with. So I'm going to set up some assemblers right here. We're going to start with one at a time. While we're getting all this organized, I'm also going to organize my little data pad over here of different parts that I'm making and tracking my inventory basically. Okay, so I want fuel on the very top and then food right below that. These 3 items here, maintenance, fuel, and food, are basically the critical things that'll shut down this whole operation. Next, in the hierarchy of what I consider important, are these finished goods. So we've got construction parts, vehicle parts, electronics, mechanical parts. These are all finished goods that combine one or actually 2 or more individual products or components that go into this. So for example, mechanical parts take metal, this refined iron here, and are produced in a factory and an assembler for that. Construction parts, they take a couple of different things to produce, and here's the assembler. So they take iron, they take wood, and they take concrete slabs to make construction parts. I'm going to set up a factory that makes each one of these individually. The reason I'm going to do this is I don't want to have any delays. I also want to be able to see what each one of these is holding up, taking time being produced, I guess. You can see our blast furnace is pulling in materials, making the molten iron, and loading up metal casters here, which are making the iron pieces. That's being picked up by the truck and delivered to the assembler, and the assembler is now, with all these parts in inventory, making the construction part, the finished good. And we also need to make a maintenance depot to get this maintenance level up. Also want to expand the area that we're harvesting trees from. Give myself a strip here where I can get at this coal area real easily. Also get these trees out of the way over by this limestone area. Alright, as you can see, these assemblers are stamping out parts here, consuming the resources in order to do that. This blast furnace is waiting for products. I'm gonna up the priority here. It isn't gonna make too much of a difference. But the reason why we don't have the material there is because we don't have enough vehicles to handle all the jobs. One of the jobs that I created here by adding this waste collection is it's got to take waste from this area here and dump it. But this waste collection area doesn't need to be picked up very often. So I'm going to set this to low. Keep the trucks doing other things. Alright, checking on our quantity. We're doing really well here. Fuel, doing just fine for food. And maintenance is starting to accumulate. Alright, vehicles and mining. So we can start producing vehicles and we can also start mining. We're going to need to build the vehicle construction bay. Vehicle depot. I'm going to do right here. And the first two things I'm going to bring in is excavator and then 2 additional trucks. After that, we're also going to need a mine control tower set up. The first place we're going to start mining is over here by this iron locale. This orange color is oxidation or rust. So you can see there's an iron deposit over here. You can infer that from the color, basically. As soon as we can, we'll be able to assign excavators. And the trucks. Once we get an excavator, I'm not going to assign a truck until we've got the excavator produced. This is currently waiting for a material delivery. Okay, we are going to create the mining area that we're going to use though, so we're going to designate that. as you can see, that basically shows a going below ground dig. We're also going to add that recipe over here, which is to combine iron ore with coal. Now when we do that, it's going to use twice as much coal every time we do a cycle here. And it's also going to produce slag, which is a byproduct that has to be removed. It also takes more material in iron ore versus just the iron scrap. But eventually we're going to run out of iron scrap. We're sourcing the iron scrap right now from this abandoned communication station, but eventually this quantity is going to be depleted. Alright, and we've got the parts here. We're well on our way to producing the first excavator. It's about to roll out of the shop here. There we go. Alright. Let's assign that first excavator and bring a truck over here as well. Now we're going to need an ore sorting plant, which is where the ore is taken from and then sorted at. I'm going to set that up right over here. I also want to set up a second tree harvester to speed up tree removal here. Alright, as you can see here, this truck is being filled by the excavator, and we've got both dirt and iron ore filling the cargo bed. As soon as this ore sorting plant is completed, we'll be able to sort these products and get this stuff out of here. Just waiting for some of those parts. Alright, we just finished our trading dock research, and the next task is to build one. So let's build one. Here's our ore sorting plant. Here comes our first truck to sort some some ore. That dumps in there, fills out through the hopper here, and now we've got ore here and we've got dirt. Not a whole lot of ore here. Looks like 7 units. 13 units of dirt. And eventually this dirt is just going to be taken from here and dumped in our dumping area. Alright, we've got a second excavator, and that means we can put a second excavator up here, and I'm going to add a couple more trucks onto that process. The goal being to fill up this this ore sorting plant with material so that we can start smelting it. I'm actually going to try and boost this to get some more metal into this cube, more molten iron into the cube, more metal coming out of this process here. These guys are full up on parts, so I'm going to set up a second recipe for them to produce while they're waiting for parts. Alright, and we've got a whole bunch of jobs and a lot of trucks that are now assigned primarily to particular facilities. For example, our mine over there is requiring 3 trucks, and there's still a lot of jobs to haul parts around So we just need to add more trucks. We're also waiting for material delivery here, and I'm going to maximize the priority of getting parts delivered to the vehicle depot in order to get these additional trucks built. Also going to reduce the boost here because it can't go anywhere with this particular material until it gets pulled out of here by the trucks, by the logistics. So right now we've just got not enough trucks to satisfy our total logistical demand. One thing we can do here is add a storage for these parts. And if I do that, I should be able to get a truck and eventually a conveyor to pull these parts right off of these as they get produced and stash the parts here. So even if there's not a truck available to take them or a demand to produce a product in the assemblers, we still can get it off the line here. Alright, let's see. Can I dump rock up here? I think I can. Pretty sure this is dumping rock. Okay, yeah, it's just trucks are just behind. Alright, gonna add 2 more trucks. Waiting for this coal to come out of here. And since we've got plenty of trees, I'm going to actually reduce the number of trucks we've got assigned to this, get these out of here, and I'm going to set up a trading dock. We've got to free up some additional trucks to do other things besides just pull materials out of here. So I'm going to back down to just 1 truck here. We are again waiting for part deliveries. Alright, here's a second tree harvester. Let's get 1 more truck over here working on this. I'm actually going to set the boost on these facilities here. Once the logistics trucks get over here to get this material out of here. Going to add 2 more trucks. We shouldn't be this far behind, but that's okay. We're still in pretty good shape here, moving all this stuff around. Better to have more trucks than you need than fewer trucks, as you can clearly see. And I'm gonna increase the priority of this particular pickup here in order to get this material out of here. Here we go. All right. So we're moving this metal over here. Finally. Once we get conveyors, we'll be able to have the conveyor automatically just move the material from here on here by route of the conveyor, not needing the truck to do it. And again, we're waiting for more parts. But at least we're getting this cleared out. So I'm going to reduce the boost. So when we are actively using boost, we consume additional unity, which is, I don't know, basically like an overtime allocation. So we don't want to be doing that all the time. Plus, it's inefficient eventually because there'll be times where you don't have any additional capacity. All right, we can build a beacon, and I'm going to do that right away here. I'm also going to bring an additional truck over to this mine control tower. In fact, 2 of them now. I'm also going to add coal to our sorter here because we're going to start mining coal. I want to do that sooner rather than later. There's coal over here, and that way I'm still going to use the trees, but I'll have a secondary source where I can bring in coal. Alright, I'm going to reduce one of these excavators from here, bring back 1 truck, and bring one of the excavators over here and one of the trucks. And then I'm going to start working on coal right away. My mining designation set that up here. We're going to mine this shelf of coal right here. Gonna add a second farm right away. And then I'm also gonna add a second food market here. And set this up to receive potatoes as well. This goal is asking me to purchase concrete slabs for iron, and I have a surplus iron, so I can do that now. If I do this, I'll also receive some additional resources as a reward, so I'm going to do that. One of the things that is being pulled out of here, besides this iron scrap, is the concrete slab from the abandoned communication station. However, I'm going to start needing to produce these as well. So in order to do that, I'm going to need to make a kiln. I'm also going to need coal, and I'm going to need water to produce that. water is going to require a rainwater harvester, at least in the beginning. And maybe more than one. I'm going to store the rainwater in a fluid storage tank. Going to connect a pipe, elevated of course, so that I can get my trucks here under it as needed. Also want to elevate this pipe here. I don't need it quite that high. Okay, and as you can see, we're doing a really good job of getting iron ore pulled out of the mine and depositing the other material we don't need. We've also got a decent supply of coal here. Alright, since we've got the beacon active, we've got refugees coming to the island, so additional workers. And they're bringing these materials as they come as well. I'm going to add an additional assembler. And I'm just going to give this one the recipe of building construction parts as well. Backup recipe of mechanical parts. Need to set up an exhaust here for my kiln, and then we're just waiting on limestone. In order to produce the concrete slabs, we're going to need another excavator to mine limestone, and I'm going to add 2 more trucks. I'm going to add some additional unit storage for these iron plates to get this material out of here. And I'm also going to reduce the priority of trucks coming to pick up and remove stuff here from 2 to 5, because we've got this production queue basically filled up. Alright, now just having a look over here, and as you can see, we're pulling out very high concentration of coal, which is good. We're going to set up another mine here, which is our limestone mine. There we go. And we'll assign a truck and an excavator once the excavator is done. We're just waiting on, looks like, some vehicle parts in order to finish that up. I'm going to check our vehicle part production status. It looks like we don't have currently a dedicated vehicle production part facility. I'm actually going to give this definitely priority there. So we don't really need to produce electronics nearly as much. We have a huge portion of those there. Okay. What else have we got going here? We should be able to get the excavator over here now. So let's do that, and then let's assign the mining area. I'm gonna start mining right over here. I found in the past this to be a pretty rich area to mine. And as soon as we get limestone in the queue, we'll start being able to pull out these concrete slabs. I'm going to set storage for those concrete slabs right near this. I'm going to add an additional set of assemblers here. It's going to make mechanical parts and then vehicle parts. And another assembler here. It's going to focus on construction parts and then mechanical parts. We're going to run out of housing capacity here with the beacon on, so we're going to need to either turn the beacon off or expand our housing. We have a lot of trees in this area here that need to be harvested in order for us to expand. Although I think we can expand on this side here, so I'm going to just look to see. Yeah, we can do an expansion right there. It's going to take 100 construction parts, so that is going to put a damper on the rest of our constructions, but I think we can start getting this going with high priority here. And once we do that, we'll get some additional rewards for the goals there. We could also build a unit storage and assign that to construction parts, which is also something I should do right away. Alright, looks like we're making concrete here. Excellent. And this product is going to be concrete assigned. I'm going to set the boost on these temporarily to clear out this molten queue. And as you can see at the top, we're in the yellow zone on logistics. So the trucks are very, well, they're not very busy. Well, they are very busy, not extremely busy. So we may need to bring on some additional trucks. Looks like we've already got an additional truck right there, which is outstanding. Very shortly I'm going to shut this boost down here. Shut this down here, and we've got some homeless. We're just waiting for these parts to finish up, and we got, looks like 40 more we need. And I think we probably got them. Here they come. Okay. Done, done, done. Now our logistics trucks are, well, they just went from extremely busy to stable. I'm going to add an additional truck here to the iron ore mine because we are running low on iron ore. We're going to be storing construction parts here in unit storage. There we go. Alright, we're going to start to need to produce fuel here pretty soon. The only thing that's holding up our fuel level with this number of trucks has been the additional fuel that comes with all these refugees. And because we've got so many additional refugees, our food consumption is going up. However, because we've got additional farms, we're doing okay there as well. I'm going to add one more farm. Also gonna set up storage for wood over here. Since we don't have a storage for wood. And I want to set up storage for these other things too as well, mechanical and vehicle parts as well as electronics. Set the actually setting the boost probably won't help too much because we're waiting on iron ore. Stone here, okay. So we're going to need to start producing fuel here. That's just a given. And let me look to see where the oil is. Right here, okay. So I'm going to start with one pump jack. Put fluid storage very close to that. And then in order to produce oil, we need to, or diesel, we need to move diesel and coal, or oil and coal together to create diesel. So I'm going to produce diesel relatively close to the coal. I guess the halfway point, which should be about here. Exhaust. We're going to need a diesel fluid storage. And then we're going to need a wastewater liquid dump. Going to hit that right here. Going to set the recipe to dump wastewater here. Push the boost on this facility because we've got a lot of material here we can roll through. We're starting to do a pretty good job getting parts stockpiled here. Plus, since I spaced these out, I can see what the hell I've got here, which is nice. Got enough trucks moving around. We can keep the logistics stable. We're just waiting on construction parts for all this stuff here, and that is coming together. Temporarily, I'm going to boost this crude oil producer so that I don't have to build a second pump. I should have this thing filled up just about the time I get the parts to move the oil to the facility. I think I'm going to add a second truck on coal with the coal mine here as soon as this excavator comes back. You can see this one excavator here is going to get some fuel topped off. Dump the boost on the blast furnace. We're running out of material here. Looks like we're not going to need 3 trucks here too much longer, if at all, because one of them is just sitting here. Yeah, by the time this dumps, there's almost no downtime here at all. Yeah, there is no downtime. So with 2 trucks, we can get away maintaining maximum uptime on this excavator. If we want more ore, we'll have to add another excavator, which we probably will do shortly. Yeah, we're gonna need more metal through here soon. Okay, so let's produce another excavator and then bring on another truck as well. Alright, looks like we're gonna have this thing filled up. Yeah, we did fill it up, okay. Awesome. I'm gonna set this to get urgent priority to deliver those parts to this construction first before anything else, including this fluid storage and the smokestack here. And then we're just waiting for coal, and then once the construction is done here, we'll be able to get the oil to this location. Looks like this is actually going to bring an oil truck first, which is great. We can set the boost on this, have it ramrod this through faster than it would with the pipes anyway. And now the output is full until we can get this fluid out of here, this diesel, into the actual storage bay, so we can't really boost anymore. Couldn't boost anyway because we don't have the exhaust built yet. So I'm just waiting on construction parts. COVID supply chain issues. And it looks like we are just... the root of that is we're waiting on metal. Which really isn't that big of a deal, but we should get this excavator going and get this truck moving over here too as quickly as possible. Probably build another excavator right away too, and one more truck, since we've got the mechanical parts, or the vehicle parts, and the mechanical parts. Let's just do it. We also need some more concrete slabs, and it looks like here we're waiting on limestone. Limestone I could fix because I just need to increase the number of trucks making deliveries. I've still got just one assigned to this, so if I put 2 on this, that should radically increase the rate at which we start moving this material out of here. Alright, construction 2 is almost done being researched. After that is going to be conveyor belts. I want to also work on a fuel station, and then a groundwater pump, and then advanced concrete. Once I get that out of there, I can get rid of, once the groundwater pump is built, I can get rid of this giant rainwater harvester and just set that up. More iron ore coming through. Get this metal parts supply built back up. Alright, in 9 months we'll have 14 more refugees, and then it's going to be, in less than 9 months, then it'll be time to turn this thing off. So we'll be full up, and we've got a whole bunch of additional workers that we don't have jobs for. Got another excavator here, and I'm going to put that excavator on iron ore mining temporarily. So I want to fill this thing up. Looks like a solid boost here to get this limestone out of here is possible as well. And I'm going to increase the priority of deliveries here to get more trucks moving limestone in and out of here. Boost these metal casters. Production is rolling. One of the things we need to do here is get going on building a second level assembler. In order to do that, we need to take these original construction parts, combine it with electronics, and make level 2 construction parts. And I'm going to do that over here. Set up one manufacturer to just make advanced construction parts. We're going to want to add copper ore here, but I'm going to shut down the beacon. We just don't have enough room left for any more refugees, and we don't have enough jobs either. Look at our dump pile here. I like making mountains, and we're making a mountain up here. That's for sure. All kinds of dumping. looks like our maintenance statistics, we're doing okay. We're producing about enough to keep up with our consumption. Alright, and we've got a whole bunch of fuel stored here. I'm going to add a second fluid storage right away for diesel. In fact, probably a third. I'm going to boost this oil temporarily. Just want to look at our diesel level here. Yeah, since we started producing here, we're good. I want to just get oil listed in here as well. Bring up construction parts to the top here. Do I have oil listed on here? Oh, I don't think I do. Here we go, crude oil. It helps me know how much oil I've got in the pipeline to help make fuel. Okay, what else we gotta do here? Need to make a rubber maker, and this rubber maker will help us make some additional vehicle parts. Things that get used that way. Bring on 2 more trucks here. And 1 more excavator. And I'm going to set up this rubber maker. This rubber maker is going to make rubber from coal and diesel. And it's going to create wastewater. And we've already got a wastewater pipe, so we're going to connect with that. We're also going to have the pipe that brings the... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Brings this fuel over to the thing here. I want that elevated. Alright, we're in pretty good shape for limestone, pretty good shape for iron ore. I want to say pretty good shape for coal as well, but a little bit lower. And I'm going to slam the boost to try and get some more limestone. Get a surplus here of concrete slabs. Also slam the boost here, as we need a surplus of metal, and we're just not able to keep up at the present moment. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an additional caster here. And I'm going to lengthen the molten channel. So that I can expand the capacity of this without having to constantly boost. But also so that there's less opportunity for there to be a buildup. I'm also going to increase the deliveries to second priority here. Keep this thing moving. I could conceivably build a second kiln, but I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a stronger supply chain working. There is, after this research, advanced concrete. It might just be more efficient to wait. Just keep this sucker boosted. Alright, well I think this is a good place to take a break, and I'm gonna activate another excavator on coal, just temporarily, before I take my break, and bring over 2 additional trucks to haul coal out of here. Hopefully you'll join me next time for the continuation of the adventure here in Captain of Industry.